Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Our guest today, Andrew Langevin. Andrew, it's great to have you on. I really appreciate you being here. And tell us, first of all, where you're calling in from and what you do for a living with Nature Lion.
Thanks, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm calling in right now out of, I'm in Dundas, just walking on a nature trail. That's where I like to do my talks like this. So, but yeah, I was just checking out your podcast recently because you got in touch with me and it looks great. I just wanted to say I'm really impressed with how many podcasts you put out in such a short amount of time. It's really, you're definitely a go-getter.
Yeah, man. No, it's been amazing. I mean, I basically get to wake up and have like a masterclass talking to business owners every day, like yourself. So super excited to learn more about what you're doing with your brand. And I suppose, yeah, I mean, just tell me a little bit more about your background and, your interest in getting into this space with, what you're doing with Nature Lion. And I guess tell me a little bit about what you noticed out there in the market that you were trying to do maybe a little bit differently or better when you founded this brand.
Yeah, so really we kind of stumbled into mushroom growing a little bit. COVID was a thing that affected my wife and I a lot, and we both were out of work for quite a long time. And yeah, I basically just started. I always had a passion for gardening and growing, and I just kind of tapped into that, and I made the connection with what was still open, like grocery stores, farmers markets. That was pretty much it at the time. So what I did was I just started growing mushrooms in my basement, and it was just kind of out of just a fun hobby, right? Something to do, and turned out into a bit of a business. So we got really into it in the summer of 2022, and we launched a Kickstarter, and we did that for our mushroom growing kits, which is basically a kit, and you can grow mushrooms at home in 2 to 3 weeks time. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Like it's really inspirational for kids and families, and so that's something I really wanted to be a part of. So we launched a few more grow kits down the line. We're now in 200 garden centers across Canada and the US. So yeah, it's pretty good.
That's amazing, man. No, that's awesome. And
yeah.
I suppose, I'm guessing curious, like when you started the brand, naturally, it sounds like you're kind of doing more of a direct to consumer, kind of like selling it around and getting feedback and things like that. When did you kind of make the big retail push to get into some of those, like gardening stores, as you mentioned?
Well, actually, like it wasn't even, I was already pushing for it.
Oh, okay.
But I came across a couple of sales guys that, they already kind of sold in that space, and they really liked the product, so they ran with it. They did a really good job too. So within 3 months or so, they got us into an additional like 90 garden centers. So yeah, those guys have been really pushing for us, and it's great to have them. Like they kind of just came out of nowhere, but sometimes the opportunities come like that, right? So we sell to garden centers, grocery stores, different sort of camping stores. We're kind of a niche product, but we like to work with the independent retailers, so to speak. It's pretty, I guess, easy to get traction in that space. If you're the face of the brand, you can kind of go in, talk about your product, really educate people about it, as opposed to having like a large network online where people don't really connect with you. So we find that selling to like independent places like that has been really easy for us. So kind of stick with that, and we're branching out. We're starting to sell in the US, and we've launched a few different products as well along the years. So we've got some coffees, mushroom powders. We also resell some other products and stuff. But basically, we're trying to turn the company into a very health-focused company where you can go to get anything mushroom-related, right? Like from growing to eating to just enjoying them, right? Even pieces of art. So work with some local artists. We're going to have new products on the website like mushrooms and art. So just kind of love that vibe that mushrooms give, and the fact that people are really passionate about them already. They're very inspiring. So it's a great space to be in that sense. But, of course, every business has its challenges too, right? So
yeah, of course. And I suppose when you think about, selling something like this, obviously, I feel like, mushrooms in and of themselves, of all varieties and types of things have been a big topic of conversation on social media and just in general, like, nutritional conversations, in past years. And do you kind of find that your typical customer is somebody who's already kind of well-versed and like knowledgeable about some of the benefits that, some of these products can offer, whether they're buying a grow kit and buying it for themselves or whether they're, but buying one of the, like maybe your mushroom coffee drink that you offer. Do you find that to be the case, or do you take a big, side of like consumer education to kind of do that and bring people kind of to the forefront with that?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of it's education. I mean, there's already the aspect that people are passionate about mushrooms. For like a lot of our customers are already into mushrooms before they find us.
Right.
But I think a lot of customers also aren't. So they might pick up a grow kit and do it with their kids just as something to do, pass the time, grow some vegetables, teach your kids about food, education. And I think a lot of people get really inspired by that in itself, myself included. That's kind of how I started. Was I just picked up a grow kit many years ago now, like 6-7 years ago. I grew it once and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I got some mushrooms out of it. I waited a little bit longer. A couple of weeks went by, some more mushrooms started to grow out of it. And I was amazed by that. This block of mycelium could keep reproducing food for us. And seems like a very sustainable practice that could, perhaps cut the waste in the meat industry and, help people be more sustainable eaters and farmers themselves, right? Because not everybody has the opportunity to have a big vegetable garden in their backyard, but mushrooms can grow on your countertop or a little tent set up in your basement, and you can provide yourself with food for years to come. So, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, some people really already know and they're very passionate about it, but other people, they don't, and they are waiting to be inspired by mushrooms. So, and there's a lot of people out there that just don't like them, for whatever reason. Maybe they had a bad experience at a restaurant or something, and mushrooms just weren't cooked properly. Who knows? But I think they're great. And I mean, I would say it's like a 50-50 situation where half the population enjoys them, the other half doesn't. So it's a little bit of a polarizing thing, but the potential benefits of mushrooms and just all the different aspects from food to materials for building and clothing, and the many different things in medical research as well too. So the potential benefits could definitely be for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love the why behind what you're doing with the sustainability angle, and obviously, thinking about things that way. So obviously appreciate that. And I guess I suppose as well, as you're just starting to penetrate the U.S. market, whether it's through wholesale or shipping direct to folks, what do you kind of find as far as like some of the biggest differences selling into the U.S. than where you started in Canada?
Yeah, well, there's always the nuances with any sort of product that you're growing or producing yourself. So in Canada, it was different plans, preventative control plans and stuff that you have to stay on top of. So, we had a little bit of that to do when we moved to the US. We registered with the FDA, so we got a site license there. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward other than that. There's a few other kind of online loopholes and things that you have to, go through.
Right.
To ship food to the U.S., but no, it's definitely good. It's nice to be able to expand our brand into a market that's 10 times the size of Canada, and I think we'll really start to get some traction down there as well. Ever since we launched it, it's been doing pretty well. We're starting to expand into some garden centers down there as well. And hopefully we'll get some big grocery stores eventually attracted to our coffee. Our customers love it. It's delicious. Once they buy it, they want to subscribe to it and keep drinking it. So that's great, but the grocery stores, they're always hesitant to adopt new products that are new in the market that, maybe don't have the strongest backing yet. But, we're getting there. It's all about doing the groundwork and going to the shows and doing the conferences and getting your name out there, meeting people and networking, right? So that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I suppose, like, we talk to customers, people maybe approach you when you go to trade shows, or maybe people write into the website with questions. What are some of the biggest like misconceptions that you see out there when it comes to mushrooms, and questions that people ask, or just general things in that department? Because I'm sure that there's many and plenty. Yeah,
many and plenty. Yeah, the number one thing we get is, are they psychedelic? And when we tell them they're not, some people just walk away. But there's definitely some misconceptions with mushrooms. A lot of people think that, they'll take over your house, or, that they're really hard to grow. But it's not the case. They're actually really easy to grow, and pretty much anybody can do it. So I think that's definitely one of the misconceptions surrounding them. Many people think that mushrooms grow on poop, which is true. But the ones we specialize in are wood-loving species. So they grow on fallen trees and wood chips. We actually grow ours on sawdust. There's a lot of misconceptions definitely around cultivating mushrooms, but as well as eating mushrooms. Like people often are not fond of the texture of mushrooms, is what I find, is when people they don't agree with them. But if cooked properly, the texture can be very similar to like flesh or meat, right? So mushrooms have so many different benefits in terms of just cooking them and enjoying them. So I think that's a big misconception, that people are sometimes a little afraid of experimenting with different things, and they see their button mushrooms at the grocery store and they don't necessarily pick up any of the other kinds that may have more medicinal benefits in the long run.
Yeah, and I guess I suppose, as you mentioned, like kind of the other side of that token, which is what are some of the like most prominent benefits that you have an opportunity to talk about when you go to trade shows with some of your products? What are kind of the things you like to highlight when you talk to somebody who maybe is like not super knowledgeable about some of the benefits?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on what kind of the customer is looking for as well too. Like if somebody's interested in getting a grow kit to grow for themselves, then the benefits is it's a big inspiration. It can teach you a lot about fungi and cultivation of fungi. So it can be like an entryway into this whole world. So it's kind of that's a very good thing with the kits. But with the coffees, we have 3 different mushroom coffees that we make ourselves. One has lion's mane, the other has chaga, and the other has turkey tail. And the lion's mane coffee, we get a lot of people coming back to us and saying that brain fog is gone, their mood is improved. And it kind of lines up with all of the studies that are being done with lion's mane as well. It's the brain mushroom. So, I mean, people really, I find, seek that out. It's definitely our most popular seller in terms of across the board. Coffees, we sell mushroom powders as well, the grow kits, but lion's mane is the one that everybody gravitates towards for that. I think everybody wants to have the upper edge in terms of intelligence, right? So it's the one to use for that. But we have a lot of other people that use the chaga as well. And chaga is great for your immune function. It can help balance your immune system. So people with arthritis, they often call me back and say their aches and pains are gone, and they're going to keep drinking the coffee. So chaga, it could be used in many ways. It's not just in a coffee, but it's a very hard fungi. It can be just kind of boiled and made into a tea. So even if you don't like coffee, you can still use chaga to get the benefits out of the mushroom. And there's so many cool things you can do with it. You could add the mushrooms into cookies or brownies or even into a pasta sauce and still get the benefits from them, even after adding them into a recipe or a meal. So the other one we use a lot is turkey tail. And turkey tail is actually one of the most common mushrooms on the planet. It's found in every continent, just about, except for Antarctica. Well, yet. But turkey tail it's the second most common mushroom on the planet, and it grows on fallen trees. So mostly everybody has seen this if they've been out in nature. I mean, if I see some, I'll stop and I'll show you. But it's quite common, but it's also good for our gut bacteria. It helps feed the beneficial bacteria inside our guts. So it can strengthen your whole body and immune system through, having a powerful gut. So turkey tail is great. A lot of people also use it for their immune system because it does have a very high beta-glucan content, which is the kind of the chemical in mushrooms that's responsible for uplifting your immune system at the time. So there's also reishi, and people use reishi for sleep and relaxation. And it actually is very calming. If you have a reishi tea in the evening, you'll sleep like a baby that night. So the other really popular one is cordyceps, and you may have heard of cordyceps and seen it on TV because there's a show out there called The Last of Us, and cordyceps is actually what's known as a parasitic fungi. So it takes over insects in the wild and it'll grow on their larvae. So the TV show is actually about the mushroom taking over the human race and taking over the entire world, which is not exactly feasible, but it's a concept, and it got a lot of people talking about the mushroom in general. So, and cordyceps can benefit endurance, strength. It helps with blood flow and circulation and stuff like that. So people that are working out, cycling, walking in nature, it's a good mushroom to put in your smoothie or, just in your coffee or tea or however you like to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And Andrew, just want to thank you again for coming on, man. I really appreciate you sharing your expertise, and I love your passion for what you're doing and your why behind it. Clearly, it seems like I always love finding brands that just kind of had this organic growth, which sort of came from like a passion project for you. So I think you're doing it for all the right reasons. So I really appreciate that. And just want to say thanks again for coming on. I wish you the best of luck and continued success in everything you're doing, Andrew. And I just want to give you an opportunity quickly as well, just to just shout out the website, any social media pages people should know about. Anybody listening might be interested in partnering with you in a business sense, or maybe just checking out the website, maybe placing an order. What's the best way to stay in touch with you all?
Yeah, definitely. We're open to communicating with anybody. We love to teach people about growing mushrooms. We love to teach people about mushrooms. So you can always send me an email, send me a text. My number and everything is right on the website, which is naturelion.ca. And we're interested in any sort of opportunities that may come across. We're a growing brand with a great product, and we're steadily going up the hill. So it's been fun, and I definitely appreciate you having me on here. And I hope that everybody enjoyed the beautiful sights.
It was very nice. I felt like it was one of those like Zen things between one of the YouTube videos. If you've ever seen those, when there's not an ad, sometimes it'll give you like the Zen pop up of just like a landscape for a few minutes before you get back to what you were watching. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's not an ad. I hope some people actually got some benefits out of this and learned a little bit about fungi and mushrooms and where they can what steps they can take next to start learning more about it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. No, I mean your wealth of knowledge is obviously it's obvious, just in talking to you. So there's probably things you speak to all the time, but I heard a lot of things here for the first time. For anybody listening, I'm sure they probably feel the same way. So Andrew, I just want to say thank you again, man. Best of luck in everything you're doing, and really look forward to staying in touch as well.
Awesome. You have a great day.
You too, man. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. All right.